In tonight's episode of The Blacklist, we first see a man named Larry Whitaker strolling down the street before he digs into his backpack and reads a top-secret paper from Redland's Chemical Institute. When his mobile phone rings, he picks it up even though he doesn't recognize the number and instructs Blair Foster to stop calling. She warns him that he must backtrack since he is on the wrong path to the district attorney's office. He insists he won't be swayed. If he agrees to attend, she promises to contact Ron and explain why she doesn't think he should waste his time on this case on the grounds that they are friends and she helped preserve his marriage. Then she proceeds to inquire about his daughter Maggie's health, remarking that peanut allergies are quite challenging and that it's common for mistakes to be made. If that occurs again, here's hoping she makes it out alive. She advises him to choose his loved ones over his cause. The lady tells another man to use all means necessary to prevent the man from reporting him to the district attorney. After a motor pursuit between the two guys, Whitaker crashes and the police arrive. To meet with Hudson and Dorff, Panabaker and Cooper travel to the latter's workplace. According to Hudson, the $282 million spent by the task group in the previous fiscal year is inexplicable. It's 3% of the FBI's budget, according to Cooper. They want specifics, according to Dorff, but Cooper claims he cannot provide them. Panabaker assures her that the money was put to good use, but Dorff insists that she prove it in court. When Cooper and Panabaker leave, he informs her that their case file was stolen. During the Woojing incident, while Reddington was alone in the post office, he hacked into the system and erased any references to himself. He apologizes, but she's still angry, and their jobs might be in jeopardy if the court orders the production of the records in question. She orders him to take care of it. Cooper visits Red and breaks the news to him that Panabaker is furious because of what he did to their files. The case will be heard by a judge. The fate of the team depends on this decision. He wants him to return to providing them with major cases. Red encourages him to cheer up. Red provides him with the hull number of an incoming container and asks that he investigate. Meanwhile, he's working on a case involving Blair Foster, Washington, D.C.'s most notorious fixer. Ms. Foster is a lawyer who operates a secret private practice where she disposes of controversies as soon as possible once they become public knowledge. Foster is the sole reason no lawsuit against Motor & Sons, one of her major clients, has materialized despite rumors that some of their consumer precasts include carcinogenic ingredients. Foster is a fixer, and Cooper discusses her with the task force. The recent vehicle accident involving a middle manager at Motor & Sons has led Red to believe that she is to blame. Red believes Foster was attempting to stifle his news that Larry Whitaker is still alive. Cooper requests that Ressler and Malik pay their hospitalized friend Whitaker a visit. While Whitaker is on life support, his wife tells Malik and Ressler that he discovered something he wasn't allowed to. Before the collision, he began to feel anxious and claimed that he had been followed. A nurse named Emily Larson overhears what Ressler says and tells Foster that the FBI is now interviewing Whitaker's wife and that an officer will be posted outside the patient's door. She has searched through all of his belongings, but has been unable to locate the paperwork Foster need. Herbie reviews the camera footage and determines that Whitaker was being followed. The task team has a photo of the suspect and both Dem and Red recognize him from previous encounters. With a magnifying glass, Red examines a photo of the man and spots a series of numerals tattooed on his finger. The Black Wasp's ID number is 4895. He may be a member of Cuba's elite military. Red advises Dem to make contact with Manny. Whitaker had just woken up when Ressler calls. Red advises Dem to travel to Havana in person to settle matters. According to Whitaker, he came across a report claiming that Spring and Shine, the best-selling multi-purpose cleaner for the past 11 years, had a carcinogenics ingredient. People, including children, perished because Motor & Sons hid the information and did not attempt to recall the deadly product. He just couldn't let this go without feeling guilty. After telling a coworker he trusted, Foster casually sought to bribe him the next day. After he didn't bite, she made some threats. She assumed all evidence had been eliminated, but he had a printed report in his car. Foster's guy who struck Whitaker is now posing as him at a towing facility to steal Whitaker's automobile. Inside, he locates his suitcase. While this is going on, Ressler and Malik arrive, but it's too late. The judge in front of Panabaker, Cooper, Hudson, and Senator Dorff claims she has all the information she needs to rule on the case. When Red visits Manny in Cuba, he brings some boxing gloves from a historic Olympic performance from 50 years ago. He recalled that Manny had told him and his siblings that their father would take them to observe the person trained many years ago. A man among men, as Manny puts it. Even Manny acknowledges that these experiences stand out as some of his fondest. Red assures him that they are his and asks for his assistance. A picture of the man who attacked Whitaker is shown to him. If you tamper with men like that, you get a bullet in the head, according to Manny, therefore he can't. Red claims he will stay in town all night if he has a change of heart. Manny said that Weecha drops by and calls on occasion. Red requests that Weecha be informed of his whereabouts should he contact her. Richard Motor bursts into Blair Foster's office and announces that the FBI has shown up with inquiries and a warrant. She claims to be ready for anything. She assures him that if he simply lets her do her job, the probe would be dropped. When Ressler leaves a meeting, Blair Foster walks in. She promises complete cooperation with Motor and Sons during the inquiry. She claims that Whitaker is a disturbed guy who is angry and unbalanced since he was passed up for a promotion and that they shouldn't waste their time with him. She offers Ressler a congressional seat as a bribe, but only if he cancels his other commitments. Ressler claims he will not be leaving anything behind but must return to his workplace. Red has returned to Manny's house for a drink. When Red asks Manny who he saw with the gloves, he reveals that it was Special Forces member Julian Flores. He's hiding out in the United States. Manny claims he has no fear of his uncle's violence since they are close. Red hands over the gloves to Manny. Red gives Manny a note and instructs him to deliver it to Weecha. Ressler had returned to the task force and reported that Blair Foster had unexpectedly interrupted his AA session. She approaches but does not pass the threshold. Dem claims they tracked down the study's author, a man named Dr. Samuel Feinberg, who worked with Motor and Sons for 7 years and authored the paper that Whitaker discovered before the two suddenly parted ways in 2017. Judge Herbin's ruling is communicated to Cooper by text message. Feinberg claims he was expecting Ressler and Malik when they visit. Foster is always present when they go somewhere, she represents him in legal matters, and he appreciates her presence. He dodges their inquiries and instead urges them to visit Foster's office. Red dials Ressler since he's lost track of Cooper. Red tells Julian Flores, an agent for Foster in Havana, that he has a present for him and that he is ready to discuss. It cost Red 7 favors, he claims. Both Ressler and Malik will soon be there. The task team has been granted a favorable decision by Judge Herbin. Senator Dorff, confident that there is something there after the judge's departure, announces at a news conference that he will be opening an official inquiry into the task force and will be identifying people. Ressler and Malik have custody of Foster, and Ressler informs Malik that Flores was willing to negotiate and sings like a robin after their conversation. She insists she will not be going to jail, therefore negotiations should begin immediately. She insists on fighting this in court and hence refuses to hand over any documents. Cooper tells Red that they have Foster, but that she will only provide factual details if pressed. Red instructs Cooper to query Foster about the upcoming 31st. He fills her in, and she assures him that she will spill the beans once they have a signed contract. Cooper visits Senator Dorff, claiming that he was dispatched there by Blair Foster. Senator Dorff announced his resignation at a news conference, citing personal family matters as the reason for his departure. Hudson is perplexed by what just occurred. When Weecha stops over to visit Manny, he lets her know that Red stopped by and inquired about her. She claims to be a dogged person. He hands the message to her. She says she isn't sure what to do with that guy, and he says the same thing about both of them. When Panacker enters Cooper's office to inquire about how he managed to sway Senator Dorff, Cooper responds that he resorted to blackmail. Foster had information on his son, who on December 31, 2013, was driving under the influence of drugs and alcohol after a party and struck and crippled another juvenile girl. Dorff used Foster to suppress his own kid, who was trying to reveal the truth. His son has been on and off of psychotherapy for a long time. When Hudson pays Senator Dorff a visit, the senator tells him to back off and tells him nothing good will come of this. In order to achieve their goals, they had to set Foster free. Foster contacts Hudson and asks to set up a meeting because she has to talk to him about something important.